B1, Brother Moses here with you. And I am going to spend 30 minutes with you live going over some actual information for the edification of those who find value in this type of information. Yeah, that one. So, Windows. Actual. That's how we do it. Okay, now I see. Yeah. Now I see. And they have a share audio tab. So I may be able to be a blessing in that way as well. All right, so let me see. Check, check. They say if we do it this way, it helps as well. You see that screen. Let me pull this out and see if that's still the case. Right. So even though now on my screen I see something completely different, when I come back here and look at it, you still just see the primary screen. All right, so that's going to rock. Justice Map 2020 early release. Visualize race and income for your community and country. Hey, Andrea. B1 salute, Andrea. They say it's not official if you don't have your camera on. So B1 salute to you. Hey, and how are you? And if anybody else should join, we got 30 minutes. So we'll look at and dissect how to, I guess, politicize race and income community level data. Shucks. That's a simple way of saying it. That got the words out. So go back off camera because my office does need to be cleaned. How did you know? This could be done anywhere. Essentially for any county. I tend to talk about the GFACs because first and foremost, why do they make this so little? They make this little, but it does break down race as it's been constructed. Race is a construct, and these are the key identifiers. American, Indian, white to gray, all the way to black. And percentage-wise of the population, wherever we zoom in, the color is represented into these degrees. As it goes from white to black, 30%, this lightest gray is 30 to 50. The middle, 50 to 70. The darkest gray, 70 to 90. And then 90+% for American Indian, black. This is how the racial construct is designed. Using these, we'll go down the list. Asian has its color set of green. The lighter greens use the same degree of measurement. Black has what appears to be the shades of red. Hispanic, blues. And then white, pink to purple. And then there's one that says ties, which is biracial, or when we hover over it, it tells us 2 or more races have an equal number of people. So when we're thinking about household data, or community data that relates to race, it's based on the household that reports it. And so to get any more specific, then the early release data for 2020, which is the time that COVID kicked off, is about the most recent data that we could use. And for those who are a part of the empowerment community, who are looking to update their grassroots campaign efforts, with more recent, current, accurate data. Well, if your issues align with justice, then your primary tool would be the justicemap.org. That form of a digital partnership enables grassroots campaigns to more effectively leverage their network and deliver their message in a streamlined communication. And so hopefully this helps. It doesn't matter where you go or where you click. We can zoom in, and because they've used colors, they've made it more readily to identify race and justice at either the community level or to zoom out and see it from a country level. The second element, other than the general functionality of being able to just zoom in and click, would be the actual data that they provide on the area that you click into. For instance, the differentiation that happens between Black and others, I guess non-white, I guess would be here. I don't see an other here. I saw ties, but if you want to say Black specifically to that county, well, it starts off with the race on the left, not just the color when you zoom in. Then it also gives you the percentage of that area or county or however zoomed in you are. And the more zoomed in you get, while the color seems to deepen in some areas, which is what was the old redlining argument, it'll show you the demographics here. So some people advocate at a county level, or they say, I'm for local politics. Well, if that's the case, the name of your county then may not always be reflective, or your local issues may not always be reflective of the broader community around election season. Thus, the need for African Americans who are engaged in the process, who know more about where their county issues lie on the grid, they are then the ones who communicate at the local political level what their concerns are. So one would assume, oh, South Carolina, when you live in the South, that's all Black folks there. Why aren't Black folks able to actually be more effective? And then when you zoom in at this level, you can see that even differentiation happens at critical junctures all throughout local communities. The needs will always be different. So what principles do you stand on if you're at the grassroots level working with people who are there with you? I think that's about 30 minutes, ain't it? No? How long was that? 10 minutes? About 10 good minutes? Hey, Starlight. And there we go. I don't want to add anything else to it. As they know, this is the early release justice map. And for those who know, they know. It's not something that we'll find a lot of our celebrity talking heads talking about. And if they want to enable resources or provide awareness inside of their local communities, and they're finding adversity on a political level, well, this is the tool to help streamline their message and get it to the right people. But in media, the best that we could do is provide them with the tools and the resources that enable them to do what it is they say they need done and overcome whatever it is challenges they say they need support overcoming. My general message is one of enabling payments in general as an economic good or as a key differentiator. And so whether someone does that through a small business and they're more connected with their local community as a service provider or a product provider at the local level, and the justice that they seek is they believe tax incentives would go a long way for minority business owners in their local community, then I believe this would have been the conversation to have rather than the other ones about race that tend to get very, very confusing. But I'm Black First. I know where I stand. I continue to stand on mine and continue to provide those resources that I believe are helpful to the conversation. There are a lot of people who want to have opinions about reparations who don't understand race as a construct nor privilege. And they found themselves in positions of being taken advantage of by others who tell them that they can help them get to where they want to be if they share with them their information. I don't want your information. If people talk to me, I do have the tendency to listen. And so in a solutions-based world where technology works, hopefully this is one of those solutions where people can say, well, according to the justicemap.org, and I'll just sit back and say, well, thank you, because nobody actually talks about the actual tools and resources that support those community level or grassroots activists. And for them, they're looking to partner or apply for grants and be competitive with people who have all the tools and resources to make the changes happen that they need to see. So when they're talking about community protection from the form of speed lights, even when they're talking about, I drove in one county, Paradise Valley in Arizona, and it's like an automatic speeding ticket from a camera. And so even if that's the way that you feel your streets need to be protected, having to write that down is where I believe I could be most effective. And so send those folks who actually do have an actual plan to be one, Brother Moses, those folks who do actually have a concern or a challenge or an opportunity area that they're looking to overcome or to make some benefits of, while they're entitled to all the rights as a citizen. And sometimes they turn those away because they're blackety black. And there are a lot of people who are in their adult transitions and they may not be equipped with the information that will help them succeed how they would like to succeed. And while I believe heavily in technology, websites, do you market? I believe in networking. Do you have a network, a professional network? The people a part of your network, do they see a value in you? See, I can believe in all of these things, but there are a lot of Black adults who are still in that transition. I'm not there yet where I can say I can help anyone. And so they should understand what Black First means as a concept and as a priority. If that deters them because they are biracial or Hispanic or, they are mixed race and so forth, then let them make their decision themselves. But you can feel free to share the information if you found some value in it. All right, 14 minutes, 21 seconds left. I said about 30 minutes in, I've shared the information that was most pertinent to the conversation. And with that, there's really nothing more that I can add besides the personal account that helps this move forward. And so being Black First, when we elevate the conversation to reparations, we know that that includes the democratic process of race and all of these other races, wherever they're at in their communities, they've already identified that this racial construct may exist and that its partnership with economics and politics can be used as their advantage. Which is why I heavily emphasize when Black folks have the conversation with their tax advisors, with their even their parents. There's like life insurance decisions and such that people are making macroeconomic decisions every day. It doesn't stop at just, are you employed or are you not employed? It doesn't stop at just your general knowledge of checking and savings accounts. Your value isn't just defined in your credit score. And essentially, the conversation happens when the credit score system or the financial system was contingent upon making the treasury accessible to as many white people as they could. And when I say white people, it was the men. And contractually, it had to be written down in some form of fashion. And that had to be delivered to someone. And so in the delivery of a message about the availability of capital, Black folks tend to not stick around to hear that. And so scholarships being available, well, Black households that could benefit from scholarships, they may not get the message of who's offering scholarships, whether they're nationally or even locally. Grassroots campaigns would need to know how to deliver that communication when there are the United Negro College Fund opening dates available for scholarships, and they are the households with kids. Right? And so portals that provide the resources that enable Black households to achieve what it is that they would like to achieve. People who actually can provide the information for them to achieve what they would like to achieve. And it's generally accessible, but it's the white noise that gets tuned out. If you're not popping, if you're not lit. I mean, and don't get it wrong, there are spaces where the people who are popping and lit, they know how to get to the resources when the resources are made available. Oftentimes it is those who claim to be conscious and woke who do not take advantage of the resources that are most available for the Black households. And when you look at the numbers, it doesn't matter who they partner with, whether they partner with their spouse in a good or a bad business form, or they partner with their community in a beneficial or a detrimental business forum, or they attempt to partner with banks through credit in I want to establish a way that I generate money. It's tending to be that credit is not the powerful information being passed forward in both of its lenses, both being the debtor and the person to which people owe. And in a racial construct, when they do pass it forward, it is attaching the racial construct that's not even listed, even as an other, as a detriment to economics, and saying Black people are at a disadvantage due to the racial group that is not even listed here. And while we know that, the conversation was never supposed to stop there, when we also know that there are resources available to support our people who are willing to utilize grants, programs. Because on the other side of that political spectrum, they're saying, oh, women on welfare are bad. Single mom Black means she's bad and her children. And rather than enabling folks with the resources to do what they would really want to do, it's more entertaining to have the conversation, but not to provide, even on the screen, the resources that help enable real change. And so, again, I'll come back to these same similar resources that help develop people's talking points around what it is that they do. But I know what I stand on. And so I personalized it just a little bit, which brings us to the 20-minute mark. I personalized it from a lens that isn't even to say, hey, B1 Brother Moses, you're so good because you help provide people with resources. Because that's not my argument. That is my life. But in order to be a benefit to others, they need to be able to say that. And in order for them to be able to say that, and in order to be able to provide said resources, what are the resources that they actually provide? So it is correct. There is an empowerment community that does target poor Black single mothers. And there are tools like the Justice Map that help add the data when it comes to this is the general message, but from a broader community. These are the communities that are most reflective of that talking point. Yeah, it breaks me down because when I come to being Black first, I do know that the conversation gets lost because Black first is never the relinquishing of protection of the Black woman. But they will continue to find ways to justify that the Black woman need not be included. They demonize her for being a primary beneficiary of one of the smallest budgets allocated. And when the Black woman starts making just a little bit of noise about, well, it's for her children, that's the great divide that separates us from land ownership. That's why they didn't want to put it in his name? Well, if that's the great divide, then the only solution would have been for the woman to become more empowered with the tools and access to that very thing that she needed his name on in the first place. And now that she's no longer in a position, because the government no longer requires her to list his name as head of household on any applications, well, then the conversation should progress into civil rights. We've applied civil rights, civility, being calm, being quiet, being docile, being submissive, marching and protesting in a voice of anger. We've united around this civility through integration. We've united around the power of education as a great equalizer in society. But we are still dumb on political and macroeconomic advantages. We wouldn't know what those look like if somebody showed us the Justice Map, because it says visualize race and income for your community and country. Salute. And I know people are going to need to be able to communicate this, because there are people who say, well, I'm not applying for any grants, but the FAFSA may be in your child's best interest. And at some point, they may ask you for your median income. I don't really care as B1 Brother Moses. That's not how I value your value in this world. I stand on the ground of a father, husband. And so there is that would be beyond double talk and triple talk for me to be someone who doesn't believe that there are partnerships that can work for the advantage of Black folks. It's not reparations in any event. Salute, grown woman vibes. Now, 5 minutes remaining because I said 30 minutes, and I am going to start being better at my word because I be giving people way too many words. I didn't personalize this justice map in a form of justice for the community that I live in, because that is where it starts getting uncomfortable. Just like if someone was to come up and say, Brother Moses, I am concerned with my community. I don't have a business plan. And what I want to do is, are you someone that I can speak with about that in an open forum? Then I would say, yeah, I can do that. And if they would just say, Moses, as a Morehouse man, you may have connections in your network of other people who they're all across this map. Well before we ever have to have a conversation about anyone who's not even on our map. This is the celebration once you've earned your leisure. And it's still a Black conversation, if you ask me, far before we get into any conversations with some of these other folks about reparations. But again, that's just the victory lap. If you don't want to take a boat or fly, these arbitrary lines that are drawn and the colors that are shaded in, well, they represent something on this map. So if you have earned your leisure, well, sure, go and live in a castle for a while just to see what that feels like. Or some people may need to visit the South just to look at the color schemes and how it breaks down the racial divide. And once I've told you what the colors are, I shouldn't have to say it again. When you can see it for yourself, well, now you know where the primary opportunities are, or why I say, in fact. And when the military coalition that was not fucking around decided that they could take Texas, there was nothing stopping them on any of these interconnected roadways from getting to Texas. What we do see is a stark contrast that tends to happen with the color scheme, even in 2020. And so if I click back to 2010, which is what a lot of people tend to do, using old data, which is, if it's 2010's reporting, look at that hard line. But again, we can zoom in as close as we want or as far as we want, or we can play a game in a very national or international public space about what Black First means. I don't. And there are some highly successful and highly affluent clowns. I've played the clown. I've done the step and fetch it. But I ain't that, and I ain't going. All right, so 29 minutes, I said 30. Personal forms of justice. Let me take this on into the Zoom. Oh, wait, last 30 seconds. Y'all know I'm from Northern California. And so politics from a justice map lens, when they said the redlining community, I can zoom in and show you just a little bit more of what that meant. And many people know about the Black Panthers, or when Black nationalism or socialism arguments. They don't know enough about capital or capitalism to have the conversation with me yet about payments and financing and such. But we can zoom into the Bay Area. In my experience, once we got past this Bay Area and the people who were claiming all of these mountains and started turning that into wine country and all of that other stuff, there were still the disenfranchised who had always existed in this valley. The valley is also carved up in these same similar BLM platforms, but it's the Bureau of Land Management, not Black Lives Matter. If you listen to some people, they get this so wrong when it comes to BLM. I don't. And so in order to zoom it all the way in and see what I was referring to when I say reparations on a personal lens, we can see like big blocks of red. Oh, that's all black right there. But for the most part, I just wasn't raised that way. If there were big blocks that were owned by Black people, once you start zooming them in at that level, most people are only a resident on a single plot. And so that's where the redlining argument was even a compromise for the smartest of the smartest. But in my community, we established a bank in this little section. And it wouldn't matter how far I zoomed in. People could still see it and hear my story and understand when they see this big red block and they see this big green block and who was fighting for what resources where. Nothing would never matter to them when we show them how big this Greater Sacramento Urban League is, but that the bank turned into an ATM machine only. Out of all the victories and accomplishments that people would want and fight for, it never mattered if you removed the hot spots that were the gas station or the liquor stores. If you added more churches or moved more churches, it's still going to come down to finance. Black people left the community, and in doing so, they surrendered ownership of the community. And that data has been updated as of 2022, as of 2020. And so when we look at the local level politics on who's owning what and buy back the block, and what does that actually mean in a form of reparations claim? Well, if somebody wasn't willing to apply for their own home and experience redlining in the form of a single residential property, then of course they don't have the mentality or the numbers to talk about 40 acres, nor the mule. Politically or economically. I'm B1 Brother Moses, and I'm going to check out the chat and see what we got in the chat, because some people get it and know and other people's don't. And so let's run through a couple of chats. That's my 30 minutes though, but because this is an open platform, the thing that makes it more open is they say it's not legit unless you're willing to turn your camera on. I turn my camera on, whether it's me here now or me during when the White House partners with the Black Chamber of Commerce or the Congressional Black Caucus or whoever is in economics. And so that's the live stream. That's all I got. Before I say I'm out, let's see. I'm going to stop sharing that screen and we could get into it. Invite who wants to join. Holla at your boy. Now, don't tell people that I'm an expert on reparations unless you really believe that I can help them. Look, when it came to, now I'm finna go into one of my conspiracy theories. But when it came to COVID, when I did the research on COVID-19 and the body's natural immunity to try to fight back against it, there are a couple of places where the body wants to fight back against it. And so white people took the research that said, well, if we can disable the protein spike, then we will be able to prevent it from being effective against the body. I always said, well, the natural body is already trying to fight, but the COVID, because it's still going to grow, just because you didn't beat it up, it's still there. And so them saying, well, we're going to give you a stick, a jab, and put some more of it in you and put some of ours in there where we've taken out the fucking protein spike. I'm like, you're going to give them more just without the protein spike? And these people are now signing up for you to give them more of the same thing that you just told them was going to take them on out. It never made sense to me. It never made sense. They said it was deadly because of the protein spike, but because they've created one that doesn't have the protein spike, and then they said they worked with BioNTech, a company out of Germany, to produce whatever it is, the nanotechnology. And I was like, wow, the people who actually, that's what I'm saying. I think people have been experiencing the side effects for COVID for a while, but COVID was allowed. They didn't find what it was that would actually kill the COVID, and they still don't know what to do with these type of viruses that have the ability to reproduce. And so as they reproduce, where did they go? Well, if they ever got smart, if people assume viruses are dumb, if the virus isn't dead, but they've associated life with a virus, where the hell did it go? If it came in the sinuses, and the sinuses do have a way of fighting back, but they weren't able to prevent it from infiltrating, then where did it go when it infiltrated? If it's alive, they're the ones who said it's alive and that it didn't die. But science says that they use a different form of viral technology now, and they give it something or take something away. And just because they put it in a petri dish and watched what happened afterwards didn't mean that it was doing what it said it was going to do. So the FDA then says, well, we'll approve it for emergency reasons. And nobody was allowed to, and the people who were questioning it, of course. But we see what's happening to the great economy now that everybody then protested and got it out. But I still believe that, yeah, it's not losing my voice. For a while, I have not been able to regain my voice. And for others, that would make no sense. But when it comes back, it comes back. As a singer, you can ask some of the best vocal trainers and get their opinion on what's happening to the vocal cords. Why are they feeling strained when all of those normal conditions that would have strained a vocal cord didn't exist? I'm going to blame it on the COVID. And if they want to ban me for it, they can blame it. They can do it. But taking the COVID test now, even the COVID testing kits are to see if the COVID is currently present where you dabbed, which is in your nose. And so if it was already past that point, what the hell are they talking about then? No, there were no traces of COVID found where you dabbed in your nose? Or were they dumb enough to believe that that was the only place where the COVID was just going to stay right there? Or are they saying when you sneeze out of your nose, there's no more traces of COVID there at the time of the test? We don't know, because all that they ever stated with it was that they knew that they needed the ability to do tests. And now that people have the ability to do tests, they never knew what to do if you found it in the first place. They never knew how long it would survive on a surface, let alone in the nose. So why the hell me putting it in, see if it's still there. Let me see if it's still the COVID. That was never a solution. But for people who are, I guess that makes me, I don't know. It never made sense. People always have questioned that. If you're telling me that this is deadly, and so it's so deadly, you created another version of it, but your hypothesis is that if you take out the protein spike, it won't be as deadly anymore. So you create one where you've said and this is still where we still have to trust and believe that what they put in that damn thing is what they said it was. But even before they have to prove that what they said it can do can be done, it's up to the individual to accept whether or not they believe it and to have it applied to themselves. And so for me, I think COVID applies in my case where if I took the test, I have never tested positive for COVID. However, when it comes to being hoarse, I have no explanation. It is what it is. Just like with reparations, when it comes to reparations, like I can help people better understand the macroeconomics, but I'm not here to convince people to sign up. I said that was what we needed. The application dropped. There were automatic payments and automatic forgiveness of said loans if it was loans. So the people who didn't want to apply for a grant, I really have no answers for them. I have none if they're going to argue against FAFSA. I have zero arguments for somebody who says Black people should not apply for FAFSA. None. If their argument is that signing up for FAFSA is betrayal of the Black community, then I'm done. I'm done. There are neutral grounds that we can stand on, but once we roll it all the way back and they say no, because it would be the primary reason why when we do look at the SBA report or listen to the media and they tell you what happened when it came down to the Black experience, and we can tell you as a population there's this many Black people, but how much of all of that money that rolled out in whatever form people needed to claim it in or whatever form they needed to apply for it in, PPP loan, small business, grant, scholarship. My gripe with the Black conservatives on the right is that they always make it about food stamps, which is the smallest portion really of the USDA's budget in the agricultural space. Secondly, why are they arguing against small farmers? It will never make sense to me that they are arguing against small farmers. The women who receive food stamps or the budget or the system of allocating food through the food stamps and SNAP program, how is that even an argument for food? How in the fuck is that an argument? And then when you look at the application, it says if your income exceeds this point, then you don't qualify. Well, you may not qualify for that one. But since you've beaten this woman up so bad, she feels like she can't even get a student loan. What now, nigga? And the niggas are, well, I wouldn't even make it if I applied for one of them land grants. They see that I got a felony. Yo, bad. So now that we know that that program isn't for you, and you don't want to talk about what is, no, nigga, no, she shouldn't have put me on child support. No, the child support request was for an increase because the cost of living does go up. And while the money could be used to pay for the child, or the money could be used to pay for the single mother's life expenses, that's not up to you. You lost that right. Arguing against that is dead. There are no letters that they've sent to where the letter that they receive back is one that provides them resources for a fucking better job or a vocational rehabilitation program. They receive something that says, in light of the new evidence, her claim has been granted. And so for the next 5 years, as we replay this circle, yeah, they can go right back into the circle, but that's not going to stop the women from having access to being granted an award as a response to the letter they send, but they have to write it down. Making the Black single mother the target or making food stamps in the SNAP program the target is dumb, just like arguing against using FAFSA or federal programs or all of that shit, grants, is dumb. Arguing against having access to more scholarships would be a dead argument unless you try to have this conversation with people in the conscious community or in the manosphere, where you would find manosphere men who make that point very clear. They would call Black people sellouts. Then they turn around and say, well, 54% of the government employees are Black. You'd be like, yeah, dumbass, because we all don't believe like you, stupid. You the one is blickety blickety black, y'all, to the point where you don't even know how to write no more. In other cases, they say, what does restitution look like? And so the Black man can't fight against the case, or they say they try, but they can't legally. And so reparations takes the form of his defense attorney. And why his public defender wasn't able to give him the resources he needed to successfully win his claim. And I'm just not here to continue to have that argument. Niggas who lost the child support argument, yeah, let that go. Moving forward, pay your child support. If she asked for an increase, it's not baby mama terrorism. Some of you niggas got a lot of baby mamas. Yeah, it feels like terrorism to you from the form of a word, but that's not what we're dealing with here. When we're talking about the word terrorism and the actual FBI and people's private information and shit, that ain't no motherfucking game, dum-dums. Yeah, but they got all of these conversations conflicted, thinking that their freedom of speech is supposed to protect the wrong ones and be used as a weapon against Black women. Oh, it's supposed to be used as a weapon against Black women because Black women believe in using the FAFSA or the federal government programs that are available to support the Black household. I'd be like, man, if these quacks don't shut the fuck up, they be quacking too hard, man. Blackity black, and I'm Black, y'all. I'm blickety blickety blickety. Man, people be needing help. People be needing access to the real resources, and they don't be having niggas in their own family who can do it. Oftentimes, they have niggas in their own family who will tell them that they shouldn't ask for help. And what I'm finding is that those niggas be the ones who are the most not okay. Excuse me. Financially, there are solutions that will help progress the conversation once people realize that it's not just, oh, the Democrats are the ones who claim to be progressive, so we need to be better at using our politics. No, nigga, there's an application involved. Do you have access to the application that doesn't discriminate against you because of your criminal record? And does that application allow you to do what it is that you want to do tomorrow? Because if I can help you today, then that's what they should be talking about, not my teeth. And if you're able to find a program, whatever that looks like in the form of what do you want to apply to, that helps you, but you need help with writing the language of it. Like, what am I saying, man? I don't want to do the business plan because now you're asking me to answer all of these questions. Man, I could spend an entire hour consulting with people and they don't even know how to take notes. And if they go to a school or a university, an institution that the government helps pay for, they end up having to go into the remedial classes, literally and figuratively. And even finding a nigga working in those classes or those counseling services buildings, providing those services, sometimes those niggas could get that shit wrong. But the internet is here to help everybody, they say. Yeah, up until the point where it comes towards filling out the application. At that time, sometimes niggas do be needing help. I'm not the mammy. I'm not here to finish that application for the nigga. I'm not finna type it out and do it for them. They have their own application to process. They have their own business plan to write. I'm not here to create their website. Although I would love to see more Black websites that have payments enabled. But the Black Chamber of Commerce is a hub or a portal that provides those resources for people who are interested. The Small Business Association's president or director Her name is something like Elizabeth. I think she out of like Florida or something. But if your claim needs to go all the way up to her, then Jesus Christ. If all Black folks need is access to resources, then that would be one conversation. When people are ready to discuss macroeconomics, that's who you should send or share the contact information for B1 Brother Moses. I ain't no fucking Garveyite. I'm not finna do it for you. You must have an idea of your own business. I don't coddle criminality. I'm not here to support your side hustle. Grassroots campaigns are included in how do you want to go to market. I'm not against people who say, hit my Cash App. Earn your leisure. Civil rights is the manifestation of the civil rights conversation. Politics does happen at both the national, international level, but for us, I'm Black. It's the national and the local levels. And local breaks down not just to the powers of the state, but also to where I live at, my community. Communities are a collective of households. Households contain those owners. Private business, yeah, there's small, there's mid-sized, there's corporations, there's franchises. I don't care how you want to be structured. As long as Black people are the ones who run from that conversation, then Moses ain't going nowhere. I'm not helping them I'm not enabling them pedos to do shit on my platform. It's always going to be fuck them. Nigga, they get no love. Remove all funding when you find them niggas. And when you find niggas that continue to want to support those niggas, that's going to be up to you to make that decision once you've gotten that information inside of your own processor. And I can't tell people how to structure their own personal finances, but we do know that there are tools and resources that are available to help when people are ready to start having conversations. They're paying people for master classes on how to date, nigga. And that's the state of the Black community. Either they're paying for the master class on how to date within their own community or outside of their own community. But that is the state of the Black community today. Absent macroeconomics or financial literacy, but full of game. They can teach you about defending yourself once it makes it to the Second Amendment rights. They can teach you how to defend yourself physically because it may not always make it there. In media, anti-censorship means including some of the most egregious statements. But being Black first does mean being able to stand on your principles even when you're the one being attacked for things you said on and off the record a long time ago and things that you may or may not have done. Because once it hits media, it's just a part of the regularly programmed white noise. They can put it in forms of cartoons, but it's still just going to be the same old message. Now, I like to challenge the system. And so in order to close out, I found a plot twist that was like a plot twist within a plot twist. And it's most likely something that's going to get the content taken down anyway. And I don't mind pushing boundaries. So they said in the reaction space, you can share somebody else's content and it might have a better chance of being protected. And if you're not a monetized channel, while they may stop you from being able to get your message out, they won't block you or take you off the channel completely. So if the worst that they're going to do is stop more people from getting my message, well, they always had that right anyway. So I might as well close out with the song of my choice in the fashion that I would close out with, which it has a musical video, it has a variation of videos, it has other people who've created videos. They can block who they want to block when they want to block them. Try that one more time, just to double down, dog down. There's 5 minutes left. And I will close with the music just like the church, since they're going to call me a preacher anyway. But I didn't preach shit. I gave you the facts. So those who know. Let me share this screen real quick. Yeah, this is the one. Now they try to tell us to share the audio. You got to hit that one. Now hit that one. And then the reaction video, there I am. And there it is. I don't know how to say this first name, Mooney Long. But to me, and this plot twist, I'm going to call it Money Long. It's a U, and you can pronounce the U how you want to pronounce it. And maybe the U is interchangeable with a Y because it's just another vowel. It's supposed to emphasize sound when you're spelling things out or emphasize a change. And so we're changing from a which you have to lead into. It requires breath, to a stopping sound. An N requires you to press your tongue in there. So an N. Like a long requires a change in the tongue. And then another stop. And then a hard stop, which is the hard G. And so salute to Cynthia G. Salute to the real G's. Salute to the BGs, the YGs. Because they wouldn't know unless they know anyway. So I might as well go on and play Plot Twist by Money Long to close out this microeconomic and a macroeconomic plot twist. Thank you for watching. Let's get into this content. Or let's finish out this content in this case. Salute. Oh shit, somebody joined. Before we do that, I almost played myself and got it taken down with no reason to get it taken down. But y'all know me. They're going to, what they going to do? Whoop my ass? I came out the womb getting my ass whooped. What they mean? That was the first thing they thought the minute they saw me as a newborn. You got to whoop that little motherfucker there. How you doing?
That is what they do. I'm doing good. Hi, Brother Moses. This is my first time up here.
Thank you. I've been on for quite a few years, and this is your first time actually accepting the link.
Well, I just joined this space as a whole in January. So I found Cynthia, then I found Nyla, and then of course I found Taz and you all. So I'm actually new. So this is actually my first time.
Now, you know I'm kind of rough on the start. Are you all right with that?
No, you know
you're on a, this is public, this is live, and I know you know
I'm used to public speaking, actually. I've been in contests and all that, so I'm all good.
All right. What's on your mind?
Actually, I know you said 5 minutes, so I'll make it quick. I just wanted to just say hi again to introduce myself. I also wanted to say I appreciate your platform. This is a very good discussion here today. But since I've joined, I see the Black community in a whole different light now, and I know that comes with its bad. You know, we learn, we experience and learn about a lot of the issues in our community, but like just knowing how grand we're, just how much we are, how much we have, and like I hope to be a part of that side of it. Just as Taz was speaking of earlier, we focused on the negative, the people who have brought our community down for so long. Like I think it's time for us to engage into those. And I was actually just talking to my dad about this too. Like it's time to focus on us that's trying to build and that's trying to be something and do something. Like because I'm tired. Aren't we tired of this? I'm tired of it. So I actively work and listen to learn and to do better. Anyways, that's all I had to say. I just want to say hello. Yesterday was my birthday. I've been feeling a little down.
Oh, we in Scorpio season now. They are ready for last month couldn't go quick enough, man. I know
it went by real quick.
Did it? See y'all early in them October and early November Scorpios. Shout out Mama. So now the personal testimony. Thank you for pulling that out. Happy birthday to my mama and happy birthday, Starry Eyed.
Thank you. That's all
I knew I was forgetting something. Thank you. Salute to my mama. Happy birthday to the Scorpios out there. There's a lot of us. Like I think Zaza Ali is a Scorpio. I think there's the twins who are also in a conscious community, but they so radical, I guess. I don't think one of them does content. I won't ask you how old you are. I will say happy birthday.
Thank you very much. That's all I had to say. I just wanted to say hello and keep doing what you're doing because I'm out here listening. I've been thinking about buying land for years and like I've been put
Right.
off by some just personal circumstances, but it's just like this is keeping me motivated to keep doing it because like again, I'm here to grow the community. You know what I'm saying?
Where you knew and you were thinking about buying land, do you want to have that conversation now that I'm on? Because I don't necessarily have to stop at an hour. It was just a part of I just wanted to make sure I was holding to mine. But I did say it's open. You were thinking
Absolutely.
about buying land. There are a lot of African American women who are buying land,
Right.
who, whether it's connecting with them and seeing where they're at, I think it's important that you just be willing to share like what was the thing when you were like, okay, I want to buy land, but I don't want to sign this form or I don't want to do it. What kept you from actually doing it? And we got Tanjan on as well, so let me bring up the other
Hi,
sister.
Tanjan. Okay, so in my personally, it's because I was going through my relations, and that's what I deemed it. It was when I was dealing with my personal Naker story. So if you don't prefer I use that word, I will stop. But just to so you can quickly understand what I'm saying. I had just had my son and had been abandoned with my son very far from home after getting out the military. So I was actually in school. I do have a degree. I have my associates. So I was going through a lot, so I didn't get finished my bachelor's, which is fine because I'm changing up my direction a little bit. But anyways,
Wait, you
I
said
had a
military
yeah,
and
I
you
was
have
in
an
the Navy.
associate's and a
Yes,
child. You're three
yes.
times a traitor to the black manosphere. What do you think about that?
I'm very proud actually.
You proud of? We'll stand on that shit,
This is
story. I go
my,
ahead. And
you
we
know what I'm
cuss on this
saying?
platform because we real people.
Okay,
Everybody else don't
cool,
like us, but you're okay with me. Go ahead.
perfect.
Oh
Yeah.
wait,
So,
you're okay to share as much information that you're
oh,
comfortable with,
absolutely. Mhm.
as always. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. So that's what I was dealing with at the time. I was literally in school with a newborn child in this. I'm from Buffalo. I was in Texas, and I was by myself. So that's actually when I started because I was dealing with it. I dealt with it as good as I can, but it allowed me a lot of time to think. And I started getting into different things like homesteading. So as far as you said, as far as reaching out to other people, I've actually already done that. I'm a part of groups so like Facebook. I follow several channels on YouTube that just kind of deals with homesteading and just different uses of land and different things people do. You know what I'm saying? Because it's one thing to own. There's a lot of
Hello?
things you can do with land. Hi, Tanjan.
Hey,
So
Oh,
like I've
Tanja.
definitely dived into
I
that.
can hear y'all now. Let me mute so my sister can speak. Hold on.
Yeah, thank you.
Right, Tanjan's audio is either muffled or it's the loudest mic forever. She
That's
has a
true.
god mic. Go ahead, though. Please continue if you will.
So I have been looking into it, not just it's because I think that's a lot of ways we fall short. We say let's do something, but don't know the specifics as far as getting there. So that's what I started looking into. So I know you can own lots. A lot of people who have like trailers and things like that, you can use it as parking. Of course, building structures and like I was looking at things that were more cost effective. That's actually why I was very interested, in your conversation about grants because I realized like, oh, especially as a black woman in America, I'm like, I'm sure there's because there are plenty of scholarships. We're talking about FAFSA, plenty of
Right.
scholarships for us. So especially in my because I'm STEM, but I was like, also there should
And
be
your STEM,
yeah. Again, my degree is in electrical engineering. I only have my associates, but
that
I did
doesn't
complete
matter.
it.
As an aspiring,
Yeah, I can be a technician.
all of the different check boxes that you have, what you sounds like to me is research then. The
Oh
best
yes.
way for you to apply the land grant and I'll say for us, I'm looking at it from the lens of research. How does it apply to me? Well, research as a disabled veteran with children,
Hmm.
and it's like, well, what do you do with this land? Well, I don't know. Well,
Right.
right now, my kids, they would want to ride their dirt bikes.
Right.
Is that
Exactly.
I believe in homeschooling, so does that count? But if we're not
Hmm.
willing to have the conversation, it doesn't move there. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut your wisdom. Please
No,
continue.
no, that actually is in line exactly what I'm saying. That's where I was. I was like, okay, I can get this land, but what? So I started looking at different like sizes of lands. Like, what do you do on an acre of land? I saw the beautiful little homesteads, and some people might have small farms, whatever like that, and they'll sell produce to their local community. So about between like 1 acre to about 5 acres, that'd be a good like little, you know what I'm saying? Because not everybody could. Because that's what I was gonna say in the chat do Black people know what to do with 40 acres? Like that's a large plot of
There you
land.
go.
You know,
Right.
like
Hey,
they're
that's
but
why
buildings
I
like
wasn't
that's
biting my
thousands of
tongue. I
dollars.
didn't get no fire signs when I was saying it. Yeah, it hurt, but that's
no,
the
no.
reality. We
But
don't.
listen, you guys are. I'm so happy that you're talking about this right now. I'm not gonna be long. I'm gonna get on off because I really appreciate what y'all saying. Y'all dropping jewels. I listen. This is what I wanted to do. To me, I'm going through a lot of gentrification. Okay,
Oh, me too.
and a lot of happening and it is. Whoever told us, because we were coming up, a lot of us came across a lot of money and we didn't do it right because someone told us we got to live in the moment. We got to get things. We got to buy things instead of us putting it towards what we needed to supposed to put it towards. We weren't disciplined enough with our money. Secondly, there was a story about these 5 students that was at City College of San Francisco. They all took a class together. They all applied for FAFSA. Now we're talking about these as male students. Who applied. They were roommates, and they applied for FAFSA. And what they did was they had a part-time, 2 of them had a part-time job, the other ones worked on campus, and they were getting financial aid. After 2 years, these students, they came up with enough money to buy some land and get a home. And it was just, they bragged about it, they talked about it, and I felt so bad. I felt like my stomach dropped on the ground, because we don't want to do that. And I wanted to do that. But let me tell you something. I drove, I'm an independent contractor. Sometimes I drive places to pick people up. Sometimes I drop stuff off to people's houses, like their medications and stuff. And you go to Half Moon Bay or Pacifica, and when you drive through, I'm telling you, this land, these so-called private communities was owned by someone who bought land. Okay, they bought that particular land. And what they did was they had well, you getting on my nerves. I'm over here trying to talk. What they did was they had they got an island, and in that island, when I pull up, you gotta state your name, and what you're there for, who you're there to go see, because it's very private. But when you drive through and they let you through the gate, you see miniature golf courses, you see nice little parks, you see cute little private schools, you see little kids riding their bikes. And that's the thing. I don't see a bunch of our people thinking like that. I'm listening to Brother Moses. You say, well, what to do with all this land? I mean, my kids can ride this dirt bike, but how come you couldn't convert it? How about convert it to a private community, a private Black-owned community for entrepreneurs and people who become entrepreneurs? Because what I wanted to do is I wanted to buy some land. I wanted 28 acres. That's all I wanted, was 28 acres, because I want to make my own little bitty city for my own people. And it's got to be military. I'm gonna need Renee. It has to be military protected, because we don't need people coming in with this dumb notion that white people got their foots on our necks, when they really don't. Their foot's been off our necks. They just having fun playing with us and dangling the carrots because they know we're not going to do nothing, right? And we want them to keep thinking that, because if you could just get you a damn private community, turn that dirt, flip that dirt up, and start building mini mansions and homes and private schools and private institutions, and little golf course for the brothers to go out there and have them a couple of beers and just playing golf after watching a football game, while the wives is chilling with the other wives and being moms, we being homemakers and all that stuff. I think we would have a better life. We wouldn't have to be dealing with all this stuff going on. We become Republicans. We become all these different things. And that's the whole goal. Now, me personally, if I can get Michi or someone to interview my story about what the hell's going on, and because I want to sue every goddamn body. I think goddamn Contra Costa County, San Mateo County, my own goddamn mama owes me reparations. My daughter's father owes me reparations. They owe me goddamn reparations. They sat there and tried to destroy me and slander my character name. They lied on me. They stole my Section 8 from me. These Contra Costa County people, they did all these things, but I want to tell exactly what happened, when it happened. I know they got the documentations, and I like I'm serious. I want to sue them for causing me to be homeless for all those years. I want to sue them for a lot of things. I want to sue my mom because she's left me to die, and she talked bad about me. She slandered me, and a lot of things. And once I get all that damn money, I'm turning it into helping single moms, single mothers who survived domestic violence, and Black femicide who got children. I want to provide a mini mansion for them, a home where they can go to and be safe, away from all the bullshit, away from home, and teach them to become entrepreneurs so they can get back on track. I'm going to come up with a name and everything, but I want that for us, because I think that's only fair. Train them to be okay, but you got to be okay with leaving a baby daddy shit alone. If he's being a cuckoo bird and he's harming you, don't use your baby for an excuse to say that you got to go be with the daddy though. He need to know his father. No, he don't need to know that motherfucker. He don't even know that. If he put his hands on you and keep on doing stuff to you, right, especially in front of the kids, don't make an excuse to put yourself back in danger. And that's what I don't want in the property. I don't want where someone is that damn weak for a man that you use your kids to go back to your batterer. I want someone that says, I'm done, I'm moving forward, I have a different life, I got to raise my child, I have to think about our health and our life. And we got supporters. Real men and women support this. And that's what I'm saying. So that's all I want to tell y'all. We can use this land for a lot of things. We can use the land for. It's just too many people don't want to do the work. They don't want to put in the work. They don't want to get their nails dirty. We talking about guys. Some women just want to follow the men, so they don't want to get shit done either. They just want to talk because he said something. I don't like that. Follow your own mind. Get it together. If you got some real men who's willing to do the work and shovel up dirt, hey, let them do it. Praise him for that, because he's willing to let it happen. He's want to make shit happen too. He's tired of the bullshit too. He has wife and children too. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I wanted to say about that. We should start. I want to help, Starry Eye. Let me know what you need me to do. Like me and my son, it's just anything goes for me and my son. My son's not going to an elementary school. He's going to a private institution. He's going to the School of Islam. He's going to become something that involves discipline. I can't let him go to a damn public school where they're going to sit there and call the police on my son. Okay, Kamala Harris, she's good for locking up. Oh, and let me tell you one more thing before I let you guys go. I was just thinking about that. I found out when Black men were saying Kamala Harris was locking up Black men for nothing, she was locking up Black women, Black mothers 3 times more than Black men, because she had what she wanted, the kids, and the kids means money. 90% of the time, Black women were single mothers. She was targeting the women. She really didn't give a hell about these men. She just, but she do what she wanted more than Black men in labor. She wanted to make some extra money off putting pain on mothers with their kids. If they missed a day of school, mama got arrested and lost her job in her housing. You know, I had to help a lot of moms fight back. And I mean, I didn't get involved with all that stuff. I had to help pull a few strings to help her get housing, because she said if she didn't get housing, these moms, Black women, were said if they didn't get their place, if they couldn't get their housing, they lost their kids forever. They got to get their sons out of juvenile. They got to get their kids, their daughters out of foster care. I'm talking about innocent babies who went to juvenile under Kamala Harris's watch. And people ignored how we forget and how they ignored the Black mothers crying out for their kids, because it was so more where Kamala Harris was locking up the Black men. Yeah, they were fucking up Black women the most, making her pay child support. They didn't even ask her to come to court. They just deducted money off her paycheck, whatever she was getting, whether it was unemployment. They took that shit too. And she didn't know where to pay her rent. So she ended up being evicted. This was the work of Kamala Harris. And she's being ignored right now because of that. We got to put a stop to that too. Okay, we got to focus on that. Moms, come on. Y'all, everybody need their mothers, man. And if you don't got a mom, then you don't got a prayer in the freaking world. You gotta go leech over to someone and adopt family members or something. But that's all I want to say. I don't want to get too caught up with the land thing. Let's stick with that. Let me know what y'all need me to do. Give me an assignment. I want to work, you know, because I haven't enough to look forward to. Anyway,
I'm gonna give you one too. No, look at the justice map, see where it's at. And I don't know if the justice map applies. I think you and I would have to have a deeper level conversation when you say a castle. When I think a castle, now I'm interested because oftentimes we don't want people to dream, right? And so even the element of the castle, or when I say, okay, so it might not be for me a castle, but even the being able to understand what does it take to even have a freaking castle. I've seen people who wanted to create a shelter and now they've used their tax deductions to use their garage as a third party. Or they use as deductions, they'll build the guest house in the back. And then for tax purposes, now that is a guest house that can shelter or provide temporary shelter for women who've experienced domestic violence. You see what I'm saying? But in order to actually be able to think in the terms that you're at, when we say reparations, I think your first thought is to want to think unfiltered. And I don't know if everybody is willing to do it. I got time. Sorry, I also asked as well. She said, as someone who incorporates what do I do with a backyard? What would I do with land if it was between 1 to 5 acres? And so similarly, let me do this real quick. Here's where I'm starting to see in the South, people are getting caught in between that conversation. Let me present it. Slide, just not the slide. I want to. Oh, am I already sharing the screen? I forgot. Oops. My bad. I'll reshare it.
Yo, I was saying 2 lots in a trailer. I mean, for me, I always told folks when I was doing my live streams, 2 lots in the trailers. What did I say? I said 2 lots in the trailers, right? And you use a trailer as your workstation, and you use another, you use another part of your lot as somewhere that you live temporarily while you build a home for you and your family, and then we can. I've seen
a family actually buy, let's say, like 10 acres of land. And they actually used a regular, like a regular trailer, like you would travel in, like one of the big ones. They lived in that for a while, and they built a shed, and then it was a large shed, by the way. So it wasn't like it was like a large shed. And then they built in the shed, and they moved in the shed while they built their main house, because they were having like concrete slabs laid and things like that, and like they just progressively built on top of. So I've seen that done before.
Yeah, see that's nice. And we could talk about what land. Listen, I seen Antioch, California as a town for Black folks. I'm telling that is so much open land.
Where did you say?
There. Antioch, California.
So now we're into the show. Antioch, California. Why Antioch?
Because
I'm gonna run them through the justice map. They better line up too.
Way too many. It's a whole lot of land that wants to be sold, and it's so beautiful out there. But I'm starting to see Black folks in homes, and I got an auntie, and her husband lived in a house over in Antioch. It's a bunch of homes, but every 8 or 9 houses, you're starting to see some Black folks come in. Now, I've seen Black people in Menlo Park, California, which that makes me feel good to see some Black folks in Palo Alto and Menlo Park, California. That's amazing, because who would live in them damn quiet ass, beautiful, expensive ass, traffic free part of the city? To see some Black folks coming out of their house.
What else about Antioch? Is this lakeside? Is this oceanside property?
I don't know if it's oceanside property. I just know that every time I drive to go visit my aunt and them, because she had things going on at this park over at Mesa Drive somewhere. And as soon as you drive through the mountains, you'll see all this nice land, so much room. And then around there, you got your shopping malls and things that's maybe about what 20, 10 miles away. You got your shopping mall, you got your gas stations, you got all that nice stuff and, stuff to go eat at. To me, Antioch, California is still a new city because it wasn't much there in Antioch, and nor was it anything in Pittsburgh, California. Pittsburgh just now getting crowded. But I will never forget the fact that back in 2001 or 2002, Pittsburgh and Antioch was almost a goddamn ghost town. There was nothing there. They were just building BART. And it was like, now when you get off of BART, now where you gonna go? There's these new homes they just built all up and down. And again, it was Black people peppering in the crowd in those homes. That told me we can live in them places. I'm talking about, there was cheap to buy them homes. They was going for 700, 400, 500 even at that time, and down payment was $30,000 because it was a brand new city. And folks, many people were not moving down there because it's in the middle of nowhere. Where's the store at? You got to go to Oakland or Berkeley to go to the store because there was a shit there in Pittsburgh. It was just brand new dirt. Well, we got to do that same. Antioch is still a brand new. They're building, but it's still becoming brand new. And I always think that if we do that now, it will, because if you don't do it now, then everything is going to go up. It's going to be hella expensive, like Santa Clara. Santa Clara used to be very cheap to be in, but the 49ers moved there, so now it's very expensive, and San Francisco's rent is lower. Like the cost of living in San Francisco is hella low now, but the problem is it's too goddamn crowded. So I always thought the farther away from San Francisco, the better, to be honest with you. And I don't know why I see Antioch as a Black-owned city. I don't understand why I see it, but I see it.
Mm.
No. So, and so this I don't know, And then I see Arizona, I see Reno. I thought it was Vegas, but I see Reno.
When you were looking in Arizona, what parts did you like? Or were you?
I've never been to Arizona. My uncle been to Arizona. He would show me pictures, and about 2 hours away from Tucson. He said 2 hours from Tucson, Arizona, is a place where Black folks should go and live and own some land out there. He said he's thinking about buying a piece of property out there right now. But Reno is
Reno. People been making that move to Reno for a little minute, though.
Yeah, because everybody's going to Vegas because of the Oakland Raiders, and now Vegas is getting to be expensive, and it's a capitalist society. It's very capitalist. Now, I lived in Vegas, and my vision wasn't clear. I thought, well, I need to be where the mountains is at, and I still need to be where the mountains is at. And I keep seeing 28. Everything is 28. Then I realized my son was born April 28th, so it's like 28. I want 28 acres of land. I don't know. I just think that if 28 acres will work for some of us,
How'd you come up with your number 28?
I kept thinking it. It kept coming up. I don't understand.
I mean, if that's your number, that's your number. I'm just curious. Like, a lot of people haven't gotten that far.
I don't know. I just kept on I kept on thinking 28. And now, next thing you know, it just dawned on me, my son was born April 28. I don't understand where that 28 come in. It says something about it being infinity. I don't understand it. But I know that's my number. And I need to, and my focus is 28.
So what do you do? 28 acres you first incorporated that still sounds to me like conservation, though. It's like for 28 acres, and you want it all attached?
I want it where it belongs to a community. I want to build a private community with the gate and stones to make sure people just can't drive through it. You can't just walk in it. I want to build that. I want it where security, anybody can drive through. Anybody who tries to drive through have to identify themselves as who they are before they could go in our private community, just like I had to do when I was in Pacifica and Half Moon Bay. I mean, that's where I think that 28 acres of land, 4 acres, I want 2 acres to belong to me. but the rest, I want it to go to my people and each one who's going to build. I want builders. I want construction workers. I hold on, son. I need, I'm talking about, I need electricians. I need all that stuff. I want schools being built. I want us to have our own private stores. I don't, it's just so many things we can do.
What would your blue sky budget be?
Well, again, I don't know how much money I'm going to win when I sue the goddamn Contra Costa County and all the city, because I'm telling you right now, after I sue them, Brother Moses, that money is going towards the land, and I'm going to have my home built. I even hire a couple of Mexicans to listen. Pedro, if you build my nice home nicely, you get to build your little community. We got to have us a little bit of what you call that, minorities. Let be 5% of them living with us, but I want 95% of my people in my community, and I want the ones who's willing to do some shit. I don't want people coming and bringing in. They keep that negative ass, I hate black women, I hate black men energy over there. I don't want that. I don't want no kids and all that. No, keep it over there. I want decent black folks. You know what I'm saying? That's why I feel like, because of our situation, we got to have a little bit of minority of somebody else living with us. I got me a couple of Mexican friends. I want some of them to come live with us, because they're good with helping us build shit. They're good with helping us build shit, just because they just want to build something for their family. They just want something for their family. And if I can provide some of that, that's great. That's their only focus. Their focus is not to conquer or take shit. Their thing is, I just want a place for my kids, and if you let me, if I can do this, I could do certain things, and I can help this and I can help that, and let me and my family live here, and I'll take care of you guys, and it's like, yeah, do that. That's what I'll do that. That's what I believe in. Then we won't have nobody talking about there's too many black folks living in this nice community. You got to find a way to gentrify it. Nah, because you're dealing with some other race of people in our community too. Even though it's just 5% of them, they wouldn't know that though.
No, they know. They know. They've known for a while. They've accepted it.
Yeah, because I know, if anything, I know how to kind of play chess. You know what I'm saying? If we can get the ear of the family, and we can all have a nice round table, even if it's a Zoom round table, I think it'll be a wonderful idea for us to even focus on that. Like we can even start a money 2-for-1 or 3-for-1 savings program, and we could just use there's one called what is it called? There was one. It was a 2-for-1 program called the Earn program, and it started in San Francisco. But every money you earn, they match you $2 more, and we could get a whole bunch of us to do that type of shit together. And different states have their own version of Earn 2-for-1 or Earn 3-for-1, and it takes like about 15 months to do this. You'll get your full $6,000. You get your full $8,000. If we put all that shit together, we got ourselves a fucking land. All right, I think we do. I think we'll work. I think it'll work. I mean, we gotta take advantage of certain things. I mean, the financial aid with the 5 folks that was roommates, that kind of broke me, because it was like, damn, we ain't got. I want to cry, Brother Moses. We ain't had nobody thinks like that. Nobody in our community thinks like that. I think like that though. I always want to sit with my people and just sit down, even with my relatives. But they look at me like I'm retarded and shit. When I'm talking about, listen, when you go to a family function, everybody want to dress up to look at each other, but don't nobody want to sit down and talk about how to make this motherfucking money. Nobody want to sit down and talk about how we could buy that other house over there. See how auntie and grandma got this house here, and how auntie live over here? Let's see if we could buy this house over there. All of us. And then once I buy this home, then I'm gonna help Lucretia buy her house. Then Lucretia, we all gonna put our money together. We're gonna help Stan and his wife buy their house. We don't talk like that. We don't think like that. None of that shit. Like, that's so hurtful to see that we just rather just become victimized and, you know, look the situation. Look, I'm a prime example where the hell I'm in my situation. I'm in a prime example because we didn't come together and do what we were supposed to do. Then you got niggers living in their low income ass houses. I got my house. It ain't no fucking house, it's an apartment. And you gotta pay rent. And if they want to gentrify you and throw your ass out, they can do it if they want to. And they can. They got the power to do so. So why are we renting from these damn places? Why we keep paying rent to people who really just using us to make money? And then after they get rich off of us and they don't want us no more, they can up the rent on fucking purpose. That's why I ended up moving out of East Palo Alto, California. My landlord said his rent, my rent went from $19.88 and a month to $2,700, and I couldn't afford that. Meanwhile, Instacart was looking at the fact that I was making over $5,800 to $6,200 a week working for them, and that was a no-no. They deactivated my fucking account. So I started losing all my money. I kept my credit card paid, everything. And as I'm saying is just because I'm doing this shit on my own. Everybody think when black women do stuff on their own, it's something that we're just bragging about. Nah, we're crying out and we're telling y'all, this is how come we don't need no man. Because at the end of the day, we try to make shit happen. Then when we add you to the team, now our resources are being drained. It's all about you now. It's all about loving you now. It's all about providing for you now. It's all about making sure you taken care of now. And then when I need someone to take care of me, then all of a sudden I'm starting shit. I'm being too emotional. I don't want to hear that shit. You know what I'm saying? This is how come our relationship ain't working out. But that means you wasn't here for me in the first place. And now I got to start all over again. I lost all my shit. I lost all my shit at the storage. You know what I'm saying? Because I didn't have the support. I had an old ass uncle bragging about the shit he got, and his wife he been with and all the shit. He at Alpha Kappa Psi, whatever the hell he is. The next thing you know, I asked him, can I borrow $200 to pay off my storage so I go get my stuff on the 15th of October? And he gonna tell me, go talk to your auntie who never came through for me. She was more money hungry than anything. And I couldn't go to my so-called mother because, like they said, the stuff that I've been through, you don't want to hear that story. She told me she wasn't getting up or losing no sleep over where I'm going through because she mad I don't live like her. I never lived like her. I never did drugs, never drank, none of that shit. And so because she done made it for herself, you know, I'm trying to make it for myself. She's trying to make sure I don't make it for myself. As a matter of fact, she wishes I'm dead. So I'm just saying, not to get all, I'm just saying the whole thing is we don't have the closeness of our people. If I know it's not going on and not going well with my folks where I'm with, that I had dropped and kicked to the curb, I know it's not going on with the community the way it should be. Because had it been that way, we wouldn't be in the predicament we're in now. That's why I don't worship dead Negroes from the past. Because they didn't make shit happen where it could be prevented, where we were smart enough to have our own fucking land. Everybody want to buy Jordans and shit. Nobody want to sit there and help build no land. And that's why I'm saying I've been talked about us coming together and making some money. But that being said, Brother Moses, I would like y'all let me know what y'all need me to do. I'm focusing on me and my son. I need my son to not be a statistics. He needs to be disciplined. He needs to learn how to fish. He needs to learn how to do capoeira. All them boys need to learn how to do that shit. All the little boys need to learn how to discipline, be in a disciplinary type of sports like karate and stuff. They need to learn that shit. Fuck football. Sorry, Taz. Our kids, every black sons don't gotta be no damn football and basketball player. And fuck rap. Rap don't make the money. Rap put your ass in the grave though, but a show ain't finna make no money. But if you become a science and make medicine, that makes money. Press a motherfucking button and work with them damn Hindu Indians, and you gonna make some goddamn money. You ain't gotta worry about what the industry told you to do and what the industry told you not to do, and what you can and can't do, and who you can and can't be with. And all that shit. Like, we don't need we don't need our black sons to be an attention seeker and want the world to see them do any goddamn thing. Fuck that. They don't need nobody. Teach them how to be motherfucking private and making the money. Like making medicine, science make money. Physics make money. Engineering make money. Can we teach our sons that shit? That doesn't make them look weak if they're not going out there playing football. You know what I'm saying? Let them do lacrosse or something as a side sport. Swimming class as a side sport. But their main focus should be how to fucking conquer the goddamn world. And medicine, modern medicine, science, any type of educational thing, that should be implanted in our sons now. That should be in our son's head now. Our daughters too, but everybody want to glorify the boys being rappers and basketball players and looking good and being with different women instead of saying, my son finna be a doctor. My mama may have cancer one day, but guess what? I'm gonna save my mama. Daddy may have prostate. I know a way to reverse that shit. Watch, I know how to do this. And if we can get our sons to think like that, I think we have a whole better upgrade of black men coming up in the world. And that's all I want to say about that. That's all. I didn't want to get all deep and take over your show like that. That's not cool. But I want to say this. I love y'all, and I'm going to exit out I'm going to exit. And much love to everybody.
I'm sure with you. Much love and appreciation. Thank you so much. No, that's real, man. Like, while looking at the map and we can see the shorelines, we can see all the land, we can see the opportunities, unless we can get people to be comfortable opening up with what their actual dream was before the Freddy Krueger of redlining and the Freddy Krueger of the plantation started knocking people off their journey. I mean, and many of us, it was our own personal experiences where our name was used in a way that did not create an economic advantage for us as we are right now today. And so with Sister Tench, I'm being willing to open up in a story. I'd been willing to, she shared as well. We're starting to see that there is enough intersectionality even amongst the Black first identity for us to deal with each other. And it's still going to come up to the issue of, well, how do we want to deal with us? When we're dealing with others, we're extending a hell of a lot more grace, which is why we would almost apologize to each other for taking over when we do have something to say. But her voice is more than welcome. When her mic came in strong, her voice comes in clearer than mine's. Her son in the background, my kids in the background. Intersectionality, there were both parents. She didn't have to understand the journey, the full journey, or the context or the details, just to be willing to share it. And I didn't have to have some form of degree to be willing to listen, which I am. And the thing is, and if we do have resources that could support each other, like we can get close. I think when we start listening is now the questions that we start asking. So for microeconomics or for a personal lens then, and it's like 28 acres, and somebody presents to you that a part of the overall business plan is to create a safe space that is physically protected. And we start thinking about the certain licensing such. It sounds like it would almost be like what Minister Farrakhan has for himself, a palace. But with her vision as the actual extension, it seems like the space is now for the byproduct of what we've often seen the faith-based community fail to produce. And we've seen these places in a lot of places like Overcomers, where there are those pastors who get the building funds, and when they get the money, what would they do with it? And we've seen what they do when they get political clout, like when they go and they meet with the presidents and such. But where we're still not seeing actual results. And I think I could do a better job even being a voice there, because I was looking on LinkedIn and I did start seeing like Black women empowerment. So where it's not resonating and where the message is still falling short is now that it is on the Black woman to be the primary custodian over the inheritance. What is her pathway to real wealth and real assets? When she tries to open up that process, the finances start getting confusing and complicated once it's linked. And especially in states where the tax code is structured for community property already, it's shared. And so things like divorces, which, in many cases, let's give everybody their arguments from the old manifestations of the conversation, however they want them, including ours, because we're not letting go of ours just like they don't want to let go of theirs. If they target, we want to protect our children. And in order for us to protect our children, the two women who came on today, let's put the arguments together. One said, well, home studies, and they would be comfortable with a single acre. I'm a part of that as a father with children who says, well, a single acre, well, that might be enough for my children to bike on, but that's not really thinking community. That's still selfish. So as the man, I have to think a little bit bigger than that. And then Tanjan comes on and says 28, and she includes the space as she includes it just for her part, what she would want to see happen. And she also included a castle, which I swear to God, like the universal energy, a castle in the rocks. Somebody created a castle in the rocks in Germany. So it's not a far-fetched idea until we start having people say, why are you thinking about a castle when people can't even eat and they're still arguing? Yeah, but we're beyond that. Once women are now allowed to say, look, I'm not worried about what the man want to say as a limiter in the conversation. Let me tell my story. Unfiltered, you'll start hearing about castles again. But with men, it's just stuck at the castle doctrine. Well, if you can't defend it, then what? Which is why she says she don't want those niggas already. The actual information that's being shared is not a cartoon or in the early manifestations of information being transmitted. It's not a cartoon or a postcard or a comic. This isn't the magazine version of what BET or Jet Magazine would publish. And when the federal government would ask for a census, they're going to ask different questions about politics that I really don't be feeling like talking about, because to me, again, it's still the same coin being flipped in the air. But the actual assets are still being transferred. And the intergenerational transfer of wealth is still ongoing. And we're still having a conversation in spaces where protection is needed, not just on a Second Amendment right where the man should come into the conversation. Because if our women can't have the conversation, it doesn't matter if she's my wife. If I can call her affectionately sis because of our shared connection, that's on us. It doesn't matter if the allies think that when I call her sis, that I'm saying cis as in heterosexual. That's not for me to determine how they want to categorize my conversation, especially after we've talked for over an hour on it. She talked about the element of science, and when the GOAT came in earlier, or the GWOT, if we need to put in the woman inside of there, the GWOT, when co-founder of the B1 Network, Nyla says, comes in earlier, grown woman vibes. I kind of pivoted to science of the throat because the Nation of Islam also is in a great race for the cure when it comes to how do we use viral technology as a vehicle for information, and the information that they want to be transmitted at a cellular level. And it would be up to the person to determine whether or not they are more accepting of a jab because it came from science and technology established through the intellect of that faith-based system or academia. Oftentimes, in my household, on a personal level, we still rely on what grandma said and what grandma would have did. Like rubbing alcohol. And her thing was that it draws out whatever that was to the pores. And so when a woman comes on and says, there's some things that I've been through that'll make you want to cry, I don't omit that part of the story either. Because in my social, political, and economic lens, including my logical form and rationalizing everything, I, for one, knows what happens when it feels like it's time to cry. Sometimes those tears won't even come out. Like I've also experienced that nightmare where it's like, wow, you're screaming and there is no audio. But all of that biology and science and such can be saved for another day. Understanding there are people who want to do the research, and those folks need access to grants. Those folks, when we say folks, is another way of saying Black women. And Black women are the ones who are pursuing their education. And so calling them traitors because they use the government program and government funding to stabilize their life on what they want to do, I'm against that. I'm against those who are against the Black family. I'm against those who use they say, well, public education is so bad. And now that you finally have people who are willing to invest in home education, they're against us asking for the funds to provide home education, which would include STEM. And now that we say STEM, well, things fly 5 stories in the air just to take a photo. And once my kids get good at that, drone technology is on the table when we're talking about federal loans and grants. And just because they're not willing to have that conversation on a legal and regulatory grounds doesn't mean that the Black woman whose children are capable of flying drones just as well as they are of hitting it with a football, don't think that we're out of this fight. The plot twist is standing on the grounds of a husband for parent rights. Oh yeah, we're just getting started. We're just getting organized. We're just getting to the point where our network can have the same value as a Meta platform or a Facebook network, which starts off as an idea of people who just wanted to realize how they can communicate better in 2 different places at the same time. Anyway, as a family, we got to do better at communicating, which is the ability to both listen and ask great questions, being willing to listen to somebody's personal as well as their data, when they were at their high as well as if they were homeless, when they were victims as well as victors, as well as this point in their journey today, versus when they drift off in our rants, as we sometimes do, to that old yay moment when we were on the plantation and now we're speaking as if we are our very ancestors enslaved in America. What will we do for our children that has a lifelong impact other than the assets that are in their name in perpetuity? And how will we manage those assets even when the government decides to end the prohibition against Blackness in America? And while they are cutting the check in every form and facet up to the trillions of dollars to every group, including foreigners, there are 6 generations of unaccounted for distributions that Black women have finally decided to put their name on when they say cut the check. But because the conversation only ended at cut the check, even when our brightest minds and most savvy entrepreneurs, minority business owners requested through the official property, federal government or public property, their process, they weren't requesting $100,000 for their small business. And my question is, why, Black woman? Why was your number and the value of your labor and your time so low? If not, but for the fact that you're Black, and because you view your Blackness as a social, economic disadvantage, and that because you have linked that disadvantage not only to your maternity, the fact that you are a mother with children, but also because of that nigga you with. And you may have thought you were protecting your family by not registering yourself to get those assets in your family's name. But again, that is your parent account as a Black American with no assets on it. And the foreigners coming in, buying up them in 100 and starting corporations that are developing land with 100 properties for residents does not mean that your accountability, your account itself, is not the one that's disadvantaged because of your own accepting of that nigga into your womb. All things being equal, your womb is still your decision, even when the highest court rules otherwise. And the child accounts that are related to how you hold yourself accountable as the most educated in America, will it only be the debt of education and the waiting for a loan forgiveness? Or will home ownership as a single resident, yeah, that's good. But as a small business, whether not for profit or a business owner, will that ever matriculate into producing children accounts that separate you in form of actual, nominal, real value? See, now we at 152. There are people who can provide some resources and tools and things that can help you on there. In media, this is just, are you willing to have the conversation? I don't advocate for telling all your personal information, but then again, we opt in to Facebook. So if we're going to monetize it and make them super billionaires, is there any way that we can use media to be successfully helpful to each other? Well, that will be through the empowerment community. And there's many options of empowerment that people can have. I'm not a Garveyite, and that should say a lot. My track record actually stands for itself. And while I'm still on my economic journey, I'm willing. This conversation is now over, but I got my sisters on. Let me do it one more again. One more again. Because there may have been the person in the back, and I'm not a preacher. And if not, the plot twist continues, man. And here we go. So I'm not a monetized channel. And because of that, I'm going to assume that, oh, sharing was canceled. Present. I want my share screen with the audio and the window to be this one, I believe. Ain't we right? There we go. Nope. See, this one is the one that I believe they would actually take off. So I'm going to not do that one. I'm going to present screen. Now my closing with no voice left and the link in the chat what they normally wait for at the end of the church service. And I'm not the one asking for donations yet, but you can donate to Brother Jiggers at PayPal. But here is your content for Plot Twist. This via YouTube Music. So hopefully they would agree that this is the right way to share. And if not, that's up to them. But here you go. Plot Twist.